Okay, JM, looking at your data here, Mid-Ohio Club Course. We are just going to kind of look through here, and you'll notice that I have what's equivalent to the G sum right here. So I'm looking down in turn one, I'm looking over at the track map to see the shape of that. Take a look right here at your location on the track map relative to the apex. All right, I'm just going to point out some stuff. Here is your peak down here in the lower right. Here is your peak G load right there. See that? See where that's at relative to the apex? Pretty interesting. So what I see here is a huge lateral spike up here on the top, 1.76, and that's probably a big shock to the chassis as in a turn-in. And interestingly enough, there's your minimum speed right about there, pre-apex. That's also where you go to throttle. So it looks like, if I had to guess in here, you got a big long G braking effort. Looks like you're coming off the pedal and going back to a little bit. Here I'm looking at long G, right? At the same time, you're turning in. I almost see what looks like a spike. And since this is Apex Pro, I'm going to guess that the mount's not jiggling, and that's not a noisy issue. This is a big turn-in spike generated by the wheel, because 1.8 is crazy high. Crazy, crazy, crazy high. And if we look all the way down here, that 1 point correlate contributes to this 1.37. So that 1.37 value is kind of bogus because cars don't do that right there. So I'm going to call that a turn-in spike. In fact, I'm going to add some more in here to see what's going on. It looks like your driving style is to really turn the wheel in and about there, and it's peaking, and at about the same time you're going to gas. And if we look straight above here, you're going to throttle a bit over here in and around apex, but the peak is over here. And this tells me, since it's a big lateral load, that's not really smooth on the wheel input because it's not coming from your feet. It's coming from your hands up here, right? So I would ask you this: what exactly is happening right there? I'm not evaluating good or bad per se, but I'm questioning what is happening right there on the track when it looks like you're adding wheel. And you add wheel in and about here, as noted by the lat G's, right at about the bridge where you should. Actually, if you see something weird, you see two turn-ins, right? You got a small drift right here, and then a straight. And this could be a pass. Let's add even another one in here. This is why I add a couple. We're looking for trends here. Look at that. Every single time it looks like you turn in and then maybe rest the wheel and turn in again. So I would offer, where are your eyes and what is your strategy? Again, a question. All right, we'll get rid of a couple of these and just put some threes in here, knowing that there's variation. I like a couple of these in here. So the next thing we're going to go down to the club course and just kind of look down here through entry and variation, which may or may not be traffic. I like this right here. That's pretty. So it looks like we're loaded here a little bit for lat, which we should be, right? And then unloaded just a little bit, but still loaded coming off. Some nice effort right there. Again, that's the hands. What is our feet doing? I like that you're coming in. This may or may not be traffic, these two efforts. It looks like a braking effort here, but I'm looking at this purple one, right? Where you're really coming in and you go to brakes right about here. I would challenge you on this right here to actually drive this in harder without brakes and make in here your braking and turning zone. And hit this really straight, almost make it like a straight line braking zone, only so that you could carry more speed from, look at your long G. This is where you go to brakes right here. And there may be traffic, who knows? You only know that. But it looks like brakes, then coming off the brakes and brakes again. That would mean, if you think about this longitudinally, a fore and aft chassis movement. Down, up, front wheels, down, up, hood, down, up. We can make that smoother and make that one event a little bit deeper in here. You probably pick a couple tenths on entry. And this is a really nice way to get through, place to get through. We're going to also look and see how close our GPS effort is here. And it doesn't look too bad. Sometimes the GPS map is off a little bit, and what I like to do is go around some corners and kind of see what it looks like. It's not too bad. So what that means is I'm gonna consider that bus stop chicane data to be fairly accurate, and I'd like to propose that you come around a little bit more. In other words, carry more of that speed and make this a straight line braking zone so that you're going around this first apex a little bit. So think about coming around this later to take all of this speed, again you're looking on the track map, by braking less and keeping it in here. And instead of thinking about turn, think of coming over here a bit. I'm exaggerating, but not much, to have a straight line braking. And if you look at the track map, I'm going to show you where you're braking for what would be a couple of laps. You're braking here. Take a look at the track map, and you're coming off the brakes, and you're braking here again, and then you're getting into a deeper braking here. So that's almost a brake zone from there. Look at the cursor. Actually, it goes all the way into, but braking here to here. That's a lot of up and down chassis braking work. See if you can condense it and make it farther down in here where your car is. You're going, you're not going $1.30 because that's kilometers. So let's change it real quick, and we're going to do that right here. We're going to go to this channel, GPS speed. If you're watching at home, and it appears to be kilometers, so we're going to change it to miles per hour. We're going to apply, and what do we get in here now? We get in here a entry of in the 90s, and min speed through there at about 70, right? So all you're looking to do is carry more in here with a stable chassis and straighten this up a little bit. You really don't have to maximize this. All you got to do is get through here and set up this bad boy. Get through here quickly and set up this bad boy. So whatever you want to do here, but I'll suggest that you can come in faster and get through here faster by trying not to maximize this apex speed right here and maximize this apex speed. Let's look at this whole segment from over here, brake zone, braking zone, beginning of your current braking zone to entry right about here. And the way we can do that is come around a bit more. So we'll use what would be driver's right side of the track a bit more. And again, I know this GPS driven line on here is probably a little bit off. But I like this. I like it. I like the values. We're just looking for small tweaks. Let's go down here and see threshold brake. We can see in this purple that you're probably passing. So let's go down here. There's that green, which is, so here's what I'm looking here. I'm looking down here. Let's take this green out because it's bogus. And let's put this one and this one and, oopsie, this one and this one and this one. Take that green out. It's like that purple's goofy too. Okay, so let's just look at these two. I'm looking down here to see what kind of brakes we're getting and what we're doing with our feet. Again, in the longitudinal. I'm looking up here for the lat build, which looks really pretty. Same way here on, same way up here. Lat build. For whatever reason, and again, this might be, so this is a question, right? Not a comment or a critique, because these lines might be off a little bit. But what I see right here, assuming that this green and red are relatively the same, unless there's some kind of crazy drills, I doubt they are, is we're not using a lot of the left of the track. And again, might be traffic, might be whatever, but here's what I want to show you. If we look down here on the track map, we can see we're loaded up right here. Well, we stop the load just after that, right? And we go back to what appears to be a lot of throttle right here at apex. A bunch. Massive. In fact, so much so that we're going 58 miles an hour in the green, and we had another 10 miles an hour. I'll suggest to you, to ask you, do you think you could carry more speed through the apex with the understanding that you're using more of the left side of the track at track out? And the reason why is I see this longitudinal, a big old handful of throttle. That is a big old handful. 0.3 positive G's of acceleration means you're on the gas, and that typically refers to overslowing. And what we're trying to do is extend how much lateral load in the car over to here. One way you could answer that is, and again, these lines might be off a little bit, but one way you could answer that is it really easy to make the entry in madness? In other words, are you making it too easy? Because you should be a little bit scared over here, just a little bit. And that is because, mainly, because you're carrying so much speed, almost 60 at apex on your best lap. You could take 65 more for this little push, right? That's probably an honest 3/10, only because you're having to add gas, and maybe even more. I doubt it's a half a second, but it could be 4. So I would ask yourself, is this part of the track really easy, and are you just driving to old turn 8 or madness? It's a question. It's a question. Okay, this is a really good area right here that I really like to look in. And I'm going to look at where you come off the brakes right here and go back. That's real pretty. Man, I like that. I like that, brother. Wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. All-wheel drive cars usually get off this corner really well. And, man, that looks pretty. Nice U shape right here. Looking good. Looking good, JM. Going to spec 944. Okay, this is the men and the boys' turn. This determines who's on pole, to be quite honest with you. The more you scare yourself over here, and I did say scare yourself, the better you are. So you want a really fast later apex. And I say later apex because you want to be thrown down the track and not off the track. Early to mid will throw you off the track. Not good when you're hauling the mail. The faster you go, add a little bit later apex. So I would go mid to later and actually think about almost trying to clip the go around the dirt clod or the big dirt hole, and about 2/3 of the way, just barely touching that. And if you miss touching the curbing, that's fine, but be near it later. So what we're going to do is drive down here and see what's up. Well, I can see you're going to a big handful of throttle right here. It's a pretty U-shape. I'm looking at the G-sum with a big 2 dips in the middle, in and about right here. This looks really pretty across here. Say pretty across the lat G values. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going back to right here where you're throwing a big handful of throttle in it, where ideally you won't be able to do that because you're struggling to keep the car on the track. Notice that when you go to throttle right here, the G-sum is only contributing mostly from your feet and only a little for your hands, resulting in 3/10 of a G of the tire that you're using. I would like to see more lateral G in here, used right about in this area near track out, right? Just a little more. Actually, what I would do is I would move it down to right in about here, so you're fighting a little bit to stay on track. Consider a later apex for that, and consider where your visual target is on the curbing over here, and move it down 10 feet. All good. This is a high-speed, super high-speed corner. Okay, doing great, man. These are all just small little tweaks. Let's go in here, see what's going on. And so this is a big sustained effort. I'm looking at G-sum right here, and I'm seeing this little dip, even though it's really pretty. So there's your lowest point of not using all the tire. This is okay. Take a look at above us. This happens to be when in and about when we're going back to throttle and crossing the 0 long G line. Look at this. This is all nice and built up in here. All nice and built up in here, right? Hands look nice and pretty. There's your minimum effort, your minimum speed right there, which looks to be about the apex, right? Going to a big handful throw. Actually, that looks great. I wouldn't do anything differently. There you go. Recap. What did we say? We said that, come on, baby. We said that in and about right here, we have a, in and about turn 1, we have a question right there about your steering philosophy. And that's up here, way up in the upper left. Are we steering, coming off steering, and then steering again? And we think 2 of those spikes might be shocking the chassis. In other words, does your right shoulder get thrown to the side of the seat as rather abruptly rather than smoothly? Is your initial load up of the wheel right there a big hand turn versus a smoother one? So that would be one question I would ask you. Again, that's a question. The other thing is down here is, can we drag the brakes farther in here and make the braking zone, I'm looking at the track map, by coming around that first curbing on the left and making a straight shot, deeper brake in here. In other words, you're going to haul the mail, and your front right tire, both your right side tires, are just going to zing over that curbing like a mother without braking. But braking is absolute minimal as possible. Love what you're doing here. Love what you're doing here. Going all the way down. And we said here that we want to see if we can track out and carry more here, only because of the magnitude of the acceleration. Look at that, 0.4 right there. That's a big handful of acceleration. Again, this might be a traffic related, but well, if it was traffic related, let's look at all of these laps, right? Right down here. And in every single one of these, you're going to a big handful of throttle right here. Big. So my guess is, well, ask yourself this. Do you know what, in your mind, do you know what the side of that track looks like? Some people, and you would be normal, is when they get in and about here, your eyes might be up here or might be at the flag station right here. Good for you. But next time you do a track walk, walk over here and imprint this in your mind to say, I want to drive the car over here. Another way to do that is start taking a passing line in practice and take a brutal outside line, leaving a whole car width into the center of the apex. In other words, pretend there's a car on the inside and start driving around here quickly. Remember, this is all cambered, so you're gripped up here really nice. And I say that again because how much of the G-Sum tire are we using? Right here, it starts going down at track out. Can we extend? See, right down here, basically we're not using much tire right here, getting ready to turn a little bit, but we want to be more efficient with our track out, right? And the way you can do that is carry more speed in, right? Which is great. That usually leaves some benefit here. So there might be, depending on how much track is on the left, 4/10, maybe even 5/10, which is massive. Love what you're doing here. 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 And as mentioned before, turn 13, old 13, everybody leaves it on the table. Take it faster, take a little bit later, especially for your Spec 944. These guys really haul the mail through this, and the suspension is nice enough where you can actually hit that curbing, not the front part where the hole is, but run over it. And next time you go out and do a track walk with Spec 944 guys, they'll tell you exactly what where you're putting your car. My friend did a great job. Very impressed. Very, very impressed. Let's look at the XY plot here. Let's see, lateral. We're going to change this right here, this channel to longy long. We got a bunch of combined stuff. This looks really nice, man. This looks really nice. There's a little bit of gap right here, but for the most part, you are a lot higher than what you showed me before. Looks like negative 1.2-ish, right? Getting more lateral as well, getting a bunch of, you're using more of the tire. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Biggest gaps are right here. And I would, and that makes sense when we looked at the data, because this is max brake, this is wheel input, and wheel input, coming off the brakes, and wheel input. And that's some of the areas that we saw. Let's find back to our, some of the areas that we saw, apologies, of right in here and right in here and right in here. Doing a great job. Keep it up. Go sit with, go park with all the Spec 944 guys. They're your key to success in the future, and they can accelerate your advancement to wherever you want to go. That's it. We'll talk to you later. Thanks everybody for joining. Watch for more of these at the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you could. Instructor Summit. Check us out on Facebook, and also if you like data, make sure you're on the Beginner Data Facebook page. Beginner Data. Talk to you soon.